仕事の時間ね。手段なんてどうでもいいの。欲しいものを手に入れられるならね。私はエスメラルダ。仕事柄大陸を飛び回ることが多いの。
Hello everybody, Silverox is here, and the unit coming this week to Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent is Esmerelda, the beguiling assassin from the Emberflame story. Yes, the Emberflame story chapter does not release till next week, and we are getting her this week. Does that make any sense? Not really, but that's where we're doing. That's what NetEase is doing. Anyway, so what does Esmerelda do? She is a thief, and her role is a dagger DPS / bleed enabler. Her special abilities is that she has a permanent effect that allows all bleed-based conditional skills from any unit to exploit all weaknesses and gain their bonus benefits as if bleed was inflicted. When enough stacks of this effect are on a foe, they gain a permanent debuff that makes bleed do 20 times the damage and increases all damage they take by 15%. I know that sounds kind of cool, but you have to remember that bleed at the end of the turn, it does like 1,000 or 2 damage tops. So that going up to like 20 to 50,000 damage or so is not enough to really matter. It just looks kind of cool, but that's rarely not going to change anything. For her preferred weapons, the Cosmic Dagger for some damage cap and the built-in debuff extension passive can be really good. If you do not need her debuffs, then you can and should use the Brilliant Daggers for as much damage cap as you can get instead, as she does need it, as she has like no init cap up, unfortunately. And preferred accessories would be passive dagger damage up if needed to reach cap, otherwise stack as much damage cap as she lacks her own. For her passive skills, her basic passive is that when using the attack command, inflict 1 laceration stack. When an enemy has deep wound, give self 30% potency up. So laceration, this is a permanent debuff ailment that stacks up to 9. And it makes the target function as if they were bleeding, except without the damage at the end of the turn. All skills from any unit that inflict bleeding or enhanced if the target is bleeding are treated as hitting all weaknesses, and their conditionals are fulfilled from laceration just being on the enemy. Deep Wound is a permanent status effect that makes the bleed status do 20 times more damage, and increases the damage taken by all attacks by 15%. This does not stack with similar effects, such as Oswald EX's Rancor. Her first star passive is that when an ally breaks an enemy, inflict 1 laceration stack. If the broken enemy has 9 laceration stacks, then inflict deep wound on them and reduce laceration stacks to 1. And then the 6-star skill evolution for Esmerelda is that she will restore 3 BP when any ally breaks the enemy, and that also includes herself, although there's probably better units than her to be a breaker. One thing to note about how this passive works is the laceration stack and the broken enemy 9 laceration stacks. Those are separate like events in the game. So if an enemy has 8 laceration stacks and you break them, inflicting the 9th stack, they will then immediately gain deep wound. So you only need 8 before breaking. Her 3-star passive is that when using 1 or more BP, grant self a countdown of 1 when it reaches 0, which is going to be at the end of the current turn because all countdowns go down by 1 at the end of the turn that they are cast. Perform a 1-hit AoE dagger of 1 times 100 power. That also inflicts 1 stack of laceration, but this attack cannot break enemies. So this is like, I don't know, it's really weirdly worded. It's basically just every time she uses at least 1 BP, she's going to do a 1-hit AoE follow-up dagger attack, except that this dagger attack happens last at the end of the turn, after everybody, instead of immediately after her own action. That's the only reason for the countdown, but so just, she effectively has 1 extra dagger hit anytime she uses BP is the best way of looking at it. It just is going to be delayed, that's all. Anyway, her TP passive is that if an enemy has deep wound, grant herself double cast on all skills. And that is obviously very good because double cast is great. Her TP level 2 enhancement also grants herself 30% dagger damage up if an enemy has deep wound. Just as a note, that TP level 2 is not yet released for global, so you'll have to make do without this for now if you do use her. Onto her skills. Her base kit, she has a 3-hit single target dagger that inflicts 2 laceration stacks, plus a small 25% chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns. Then she has a front row 20% dagger damage up for 2 to 5 turns. Then a one-hit AoE dagger that inflicts 2 laceration stacks. The power increases by 1.2 times if the target is bleeding. And if an enemy has deep wound, it becomes a 2-hit AoE instead. And just keep in mind that this is a double stacking effect, so if they have deep wound, it's a 2-hit AoE, and if they have deep wound and you have her TP passive unlocked, it's now a 4-hit AoE because she will double cast. Then she has a 3-hit single target dagger that inflicts 1 laceration stack with a small 25% chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns. If an enemy has deep wound, it becomes 6 hits instead, which then gets double casted to become 12 hits. Then she has a 3-hit single target dagger that inflicts 3 laceration stacks, and the power increases by 1.2 times if the target is bleeding. And then she has an AoE 20% physical defense / magic defense down for 2 to 5 turns. Her 4-star skill is a 3-hit random target dagger that each hit inflicts 1 laceration stack plus has a small chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns. Then her 5-star skills are basically the same skill twice with a slight difference in the debuffs that they do. That it's a 2-hit single target dagger that inflicts 1 laceration stack, plus 20% physical resistance down for 2 turns, plus a small chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns. At max boost, also inflict 20% physical attack down for 2 turns, and if the target has deep wound, it becomes 4 hits instead. Or 8 hits, technically speaking, because of the double cast. So then the other one is the exact same skill, except that it does 20% elemental resistance down and 20% magic attack down, respectively. And then her TP skill is a single target implant 4 to 7 stacks of dagger weakness. The TP level 2 enhancement in the future changes this to 6 to 9 stacks of dagger weakness implant, and a 10% dagger resistance down debuff for 2 to 5 turns. And then one thing you might have noticed from all her skills is that every single one of her skills is either has its power increased by bleeding or has a chance to inflict bleed, which means, combined with her laceration effect, she can exploit all weaknesses with literally every attack that she can deal. So onto her EX skill plus ultimate technique. Her EX skill has 2 total uses and it's unlocked from turn 3 onwards. It's a 1-hit AoE dagger that inflicts 2 laceration stacks. The power increases by 1.2 times if the target is bleeding. And if the target has 9 laceration stacks and doesn't have deep wound, inflict deep wound and then set laceration stacks back to 1. So the purpose of this EX skill, you might be wondering, if you couldn't tell already, is basically her way of inflicting deep wound is if they are broken with 9 stacks of laceration. This EX skill basically just says, nah, instead I don't have to break, I can just give you deep wound without you breaking. So this is mainly for like enemies that have an exceedingly high amount of shields, and you want to get her double cast up to help break them faster, because then because she can do 4 laceration stacks per turn with by using BP with her 3 laceration stack skill. So you could literally use a BP on this, because the end of turn thing on previous skill to do 4, then 3, and then this does 2, and then they have 9, so then they immediately get deep wound. So you just have options of how to use her if you don't want to break them, or if they just have an exceedingly large number of shields that you need her double cast up ahead of time. Onto her ultimate technique. It's a damage class ultimate called the Blossom Carving. It's a single target implants 6 stacks of dagger weakness and then performs a 6-hit single target dagger, so it'll gain all the bonus damage from the implants in themselves. If they were already weak to dagger, then they get the bonus damage, It also inflicts 1 laceration stack with a 50% medium chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns. At ultimate level 10 and 20, the power just scales stronger, no other changes. At ultimate 20, it gains 30% charge per BP, 60% with AU, which means it takes 6 BP to fully charge or 3 BP with AU. The 200% gauge activation is Super Burst, which means this ultimate gains a bonus stackable 50% potency up to this ult's damage. And then for the AU priority, I would leave this unawakened and chase A4 first with any dupes that you get. Onto her Awakenings plus A4 accessory plus TP level 2 bonus. A1 is extremely good for her lower P attack stack to get extra damage in. A2 is a luxury, 3 skills is plenty. A3, HP is always good. Her A4 accessory, the Rune Knife, it gives 50 P attack, negative 60 physical defense, 100 crit, and 50 speed. And when an enemy has a status ailment, inflict AoE 10% physical defense down, plus grant the entire front row 30,000 damage cap up. So the A4 tier rating of this is, yes, this is an SS tier A4, because this is an AoE 10% passive physical defense down, plus 30,000 damage cap to the entire front row from a very easy conditional. Yes, that is a total of 120,000 damage cap up, because if you have 4 DPSs, for example, that's a lot of damage cap it adds up. Yeah, and that's crack. Pity it's a memory champ, so you cannot exchange for it, but she is a solo banner at least. Only arena champs are fully immune to status ailments, other fights they work fine, and some meta DPSs often have ailments as part of their kit gimmicks. Rock Bouquet in the Romancing Saga collab inflicts Oswald EX's Rancor, for example, and also ignores immunity, so even arena champs can get afflicted by it. And Rancor doesn't trigger this as A4 because it is a status ailment. A status ailment is literally anything that's not like a status debuff. Like, because the debuff that lowers stats or change how, like, the damage is affected, whereas a status ailment is something like Rancor, Laceration, Bleed, Paralysis, all of those are ailments. And any of those, including special ailments, trigger this A4. So it's a very easy conditional, all things considered, to have. So this A4 is extremely good. It does not fall off, even in late game JP, it's still being used. And the TP level 2 bonus, which is when you have both active and passive level 2s unlocked, is that all allies will gain plus 15,000 damage cap up with dagger attacks. As a reminder, TP level 2 is not yet released for global. I just want to make sure that every aspect of a unit is known ahead of time, that we know. Her optimal skill loadout. Skill 1, I would take her single target 3 to 6 hit dagger that becomes 12 hits from double casting it when Deep Wound is active. Skill 2, her single target 3 hit dagger that inflicts 3 laceration stacks. You're going to want to be spamming this to build up laceration stacks quickly. Another option is the random target one if you're only fighting one foe. That also has a chance of inflicting bleed, so if you want to get a little extra bonus bleed damage, you can. Skill 3, I would take the 2-hit single target dagger that inflicts the resistance down that you want. Most likely the physical resistance down because she is doing dagger, but you never know. Skill 4, if you have it, the AoE 20% physical defense, magic defense down. AoE debuffs like this are actually kind of on the rare side still, so that is a very useful thing to have if you do need to throw it out. For unit synergy, Partitio EX is the best dagger DPS in the game. He does outdamage her from his innate damage cap up despite doing less hits. Kaine is an amazing dagger DPS to bring alongside. It doesn't really matter if she's already been kind of beat out. If you're trying to bring multiple dagger DPS units to make a full dagger team, she's great. Tiziano is still the best dagger support option in the game. Canary is an amazing dagger debuffer and breaker. Maruso EX / Renew EX it has the 100% potency of ultimate that Esmerelda desperately needs if you want her to easily reach cap, because her 12 hit is only a 12 times 80. So she desperately needs the potency up with her lower P attack stat. Shauna is the best support in the game still, so that's a no-brainer for having your regen caster. Bargello is a good option for damage cap and dagger support options if you don't have some of the other ones like Tiziano, since a lot of new players may not have Tiziano, but they've been told to get Bargello for his A4. Well, then yes, if you're making dagger teams, Bargello is still very good for that, even if there's better options. You just may not have those better options depending on when you join the game. And then also, I would just like to put like a special note out for various bleed-based units. This is not super optimal, but any unit with kits that revolve around inflicting bleed or gaining bonuses from bleeding can exploit all weaknesses with Esmeralda on the team, so you can make some silly clear teams using this gimmick if you want. Alright, so to pull or not to pull, plus overall rating. Esmeralda is a unit that's simply releasing too late to be as good as she could be. 13 hit dagger, her passive 1-hit AoE counts because it happens the same turn, is a good amount of hits, but she lacks innate damage cap and good self-potency up. This massively hurts her potential despite having the highest dagger hit count in the game until Locke releases later this year. However, despite this, she is an excellent unit for newer players, as her laceration stacks gimmick lets her easily hit every weakness in the game. So while she needs help to get her damage maximized, she is by no means a bad unit. Also has a must-own damage cap A4 for those able to invest in it. As always, pull advice is just advice. Please pull and have fun your own way. Tier 4 free to play, probably skip. If you're really new and need a reroll banner, this can work though. Tier 3 low spin / passes, same deal unless you really want thieves. Tier 2 Dolphin, A1 is enough for good damage, chase A4 if feasible. Tier 1 Whale, A4 AU, seeing the word damage cap A4 anywhere probably makes you froth at the mouth, doesn't it? Overall rating, as of her release in global right now, DPS is a solid A, May have the highest hit count for daggers, but like I said, lacking all that innate damage cap really hurts her maximum potential, so I can't give her higher than A. Support options, I would still say is an S, because her laceration ability is good and deep wound is good. It is if she's on the team, that is 15% extra damage taken from all attacks, and yeah, you can make some bleed teams for fun. So it's a good, reliable support option. Not available for healing or tank options. Overall tier, I'd put her as a solid A+ tier. Not quite S, not quite like a must pull or good unit to have, but I mean, she is good. It's just that she's just not necessary. That's kind of like where we're at with the A tiers in this game. Anyone that's like A tier and below, like, that doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they're not necessary for like clearing teams and stuff. Like, you can have fun with most units at COTC, because like I would say that I've never said it before. If I haven't, my bad. Very few units in COTC are truly awful. Like, anything that's like even as low as C tier can still be good in their own way. So just because you see A doesn't mean you can't pull them. If you want to have fun, if you think she looks fun, pull and have fun your way. It's a single player game. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. I'm just trying to give advice based on what we know is the current meta for late game JP, what the current meta is for active global, and help people that are just either low spenders or not spending at all to be able to invest properly with their rubies so they can have as much fun as possible. Anyway, please like and subscribe for more COTC content to come, and leave suggestions for what you'd like to see below, as I'm always reading all the comments I get, and I'm trying to improve the channel, as well as the other things I'm doing to keep up the COTC side as well. Despite growth in other areas that I've been doing in the channel, people might have noticed, I am not going to drop COTC coverage anytime soon, because I do know there's a lot of people that rely on it, and I do want to continue helping those people. Anyway, again, this has been Silveroxus. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all in a future video. And for anyone that's a COT set, check out the Sonic dubs. We have some really good voice actors working on them, and you might get some entertainment out of it too, since you're already on the channel anyway. Anyway, see ya.